Well, there were predictions of a purge that would empty Illinois jails of dangerous criminals and a surge in crime when Illinois moved to cashless bail 1 year ago. The most comprehensive study on the impact of the Pretrial Fairness Act, as it's known, is now complete, and it found many of the fears were unfounded. Prosecutors, judges, and local sheriffs opened their records to researchers from Loyola University's Center for Criminal Justice. David Olson is the center's co-director. He joins us now. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with the most pressing question. Did the Pretrial Fairness Act make Illinois less safe?
At least from what we can see now, crime hasn't gone up in the state since the law was passed. The decrease in the jail populations was not what you described earlier, the purge. It wasn't releasing everybody from jail. Jail populations are down in some people's eyes fairly modestly, so it wasn't opening up the doors and letting everybody out. So what we really saw was more of a change in the process that was involved in making a determination about who would be held prior to their trial and who would be released.
You alluded to it, Dave. The number of people in jail awaiting trial has gone down, but have we seen those people who were released show up for their court hearings in the same way that they were doing before?
Yeah, for the most part, we haven't really seen any changes in the rate at which people didn't appear or where a judge would issue a warrant for them to be located because they hadn't appeared. And again, part of it is likely the fact that the sheer number of people released hasn't necessarily changed that much. The duration that they're staying in jail is much shorter for many of them. But yeah, the rates of them not showing up for court really haven't changed from what we saw prior to the law. And that was the case in Cook County, but also a number of other counties throughout the state where we looked at this.
So I guess that begs the next question. With more people out of jail while awaiting trial, do we know if they're committing new crimes more often than before the switch to cashless bail? Because there would be people out on cash bond before who would be charged with new crimes.
Right. We haven't gotten to that point yet. I think an important part is it has been a year since the law has been in place. There's still a lot of people whose cases haven't reached a resolution, and so we are planning on looking at. But to your point, some prior research we did showed that most people who were released pretrial did not get charged with a new crime, and a relatively small share of them got charged with violent crimes.
Well, critics might say with low clearance rates on some crimes, especially for like shootings, you know, that don't kill somebody, we might not know all the full results for quite a while. I do want to get to, there were differences though based on geography and potentially politics. For example, Cook County prosecutors sought detention less often and judges held people less often than in the rest of the state. What do you think's behind that?
Yeah, I think part of what's important to recognize is that there's 102 counties in the state. There's 102 separately elected state's attorneys. There's judges that are independently elected in each of those counties. So every county reflects its own local priorities and practices. I think one of the important findings, though, is prosecutors aren't seeking to detain every single person that legally they could seek detention on. They're being selective in which cases they're going to seek detention on. And part of that is it requires more resources to seek detention. But also they have a burden where they have to show that the person does pose a risk to public safety. And so while there is a lot of variation from county to county in the rate at which prosecutors are seeking detention and judges are imposing it, it's important to reflect that that's kind of what we would expect in a system that's structured the way that ours is. It's also important that, to point out, Cook County's been doing work in the area of pretrial reform for a decade. So the abolition of cash bail was kind of a substantial step for them, but they'd been tweaking and modifying their pretrial system for at least a decade.
Dave Olson from Loyola's Center for Criminal Justice. Always appreciate your perspective on these hot button issues. We're going to link to the full study on our website. Thanks for being with us, Dave.
Thank you.